What's up, Kansas City? I'm your host, Glenn Frizzell. Today we are filming at Location 1 office building. Our special guest is Councilwoman Teresa Loar, 2nd District at Large Councilwoman.
Thank you, Glenn. Thanks for having me here. I'm very excited about this.
We're glad to have you here today. First time?
First time for me.
Welcome to What's Up, Kansas City. We're going to talk about the city budget here for a minute. Wrote it as our opening.
Absolutely.
A newly proposed city budget for Kansas City, Missouri holds steady at $1.73 billion, making
correct.
room for the Zero Transit program while appearing to scale back funding for entrepreneur support across the city. Also includes elimination of the Office of Culture and Creative Services and removes $175,000 from the Film Commission. Now, this isn't adopted yet. Our sources tell us it's going to be adopted perhaps in March. What are your comments about this? Is transit services really that important?
Sure. Well, there's always a lot of give and take in the budget, and we are now going out into the community, and we have budget hearings with the folks in the neighborhoods that come up and tell us what they think, what's important, what isn't important. We were at a budget hearing this last Saturday, and we heard, of course, from the arts community in a big way that not to cut the film budget, and there was some concern about the cultural arts division. If I were guessing, I would say the film budget's going back in, so I wouldn't be too concerned there. The cultural arts office, I'm not sure, that's under the mayor's purview, so we'll see what he has to say about that.
Okay, how excited are we for, we're working now with Mayor Quentin Lucas, who is bringing a lot of youthful energy. I don't know if he's the city's youngest mayor, but he's young. He's also a bachelor, and hopefully can relate to get more people of color and young people involved in politics and caring about what is going on in their community. How is the at-large council people, how are you receptive to this energy?
Well, I'm one of the mayor's biggest fans, so I support just about anything he puts forward because I supported him prior to when we were on the council together. So when he ran for mayor, he had my full support. So.
Let me ask you, is it I don't want to say negative or positive, but is it a different energy than with former Mayor Sly James in these meetings?
Oh, absolutely. Quentin does bring the youth to his youth and his ideas and his intelligence to these meetings and to the council that I don't know that not just Mayor James but several mayors back have not had. I mean, he has so much energy. He makes me tired just being around him. He's so full of energy, but it's a good shot in the arm for Kansas City.
And also, it'll never get old. Super Bowl winners.
We're Super Bowl winners.
We always have that energy to plug into.
Absolutely.
When can the public witness or sit in with a different council? When can we see the council in action?
You can always come to our committee meetings, which are all on Wednesday. We start about 8:45 in the morning and go through about 4 in the afternoon, and that's on the 26th floor in City Hall. You're always welcome to come and see what we're doing that week. And then, of course, council meetings are at 3 o'clock on Thursdays, every Thursday, and again, the 26th floor of City Hall. And you can come and see us in action.
Now, you're busy. You were coming from several meetings to film this interview today. You sit on the Finance and Government and Transportation. You're chair of that committee, Neighborhood Planning and Development Committee, Transportation, Infrastructure and Operations Committee. Where does Bike Walk KC, where does that fit in?
Bike Walk KC is going to fit in with the joint committee. It started in my committee of transportation, but since there is a fiscal note behind this, we're going to merge it with my committee and Councilwoman Shields' committee, which is finance, and both committees will merge together and hear the Bike Walk KC.
Now, the Northland community has a lot of distinctions. You have universities, you have we'll talk about education in just a minute. But as an at-large councilwoman, part of your responsibilities also are to be an advocate for
the entire city.
The entire city. And as we know, the urban core is underserved. and a lot of different aspects. There are more check cashing and payday lending outlets. This is something that the Urban League reported.
Right.
Then there are McDonald's restaurants, Burger King's, Target stores, JCPenney locations, Sears, and Walmart's combined. How do we link as at-large committee concerned citizens? How do we provide affordable housing, transit services, access to affordable credit for minority business owners, and invest in quality services here in the urban core?
Well, every at-large council member, and there are 6 of us, are kind of tuned in to what's going on citywide. And we need to make it our job to know what's going on in the 3rd district and the 5th district, and actually all districts. But since the 3rd and the 5th, particularly the 3rd, have more needs than most of the city, we need to make sure we're up to date on everything that's going on there, and administer and give the help that it needs. And working with Quentin over the last 5 years, because I was on the council with him too, and with Lee Barnes, and being able to understand. And then I have to tell you, I was on the council before, from 1995 to 2003. So I worked with Emmanuel Cleaver.
Mm-hmm.
So Cleaver was my mentor, and still is, to be truthful with you.
Is there still unfinished business from that era that you would like to see happen?
Oh, sure. 18th and Vine, we're still working on. Affordable housing. There are so many things but I will say 25 years ago, 30 years ago, looked a lot different than what the East Side does today, in a good way, in a very positive way, because there were times when it really looked like a war zone, and I think we've come a long, long way, and we've got lots to do, still working, but it needs our utmost attention.
You mentioned that you were on city council before and you came back.
Mm-hmm.
You also have public sector experience, a senior level private sector executive experience, and a community organizer. But Councilwoman Loar, you said that it is your job as a mother and a grandmother that drives you to be an advocate for change. How?
Absolutely. My children and grandchildren live right here in Kansas City, and I want this city to be the best it can be for their future. And my grandkids hopefully will stay right here and continue to raise their families, and I want to make it a great city.
2 more questions, and
Sure.
then I'll let you open the floor
Okay.
for anything that we might have missed. You could speak to your constituents. In response to the City Hall's decision to approve a 1/4-cent sales tax in the mayor's absence, the Kansas City Star said it's business as usual at City Hall, where backroom deals and pressure politics are far more important than the honest, open discussions and fact-based decisions. This was the editorial board.
Mm-hmm.
How do we, and is this a priority, operate not in secrecy and the big type of Adam Chandler, Asa Buchanan, those are soap opera characters, politics,
Yeah, exactly.
but transparent out in the open? And you have public and private sector experience. Can you comment on that?
Well, I will say the fire tax came up on us very quickly, and actually everything was pretty public. The firefighters did have to go to Jefferson City to get authorization to put this tax on. So they had been lobbying down in Jefferson City, came back to the city, went to the finance chair. She approved the ordinance coming on. So the rest of the council kind of was a bit surprised at it, but I think the mayor was a bit surprised too. The mayor campaigned on no new taxes, and that's what he meant. And I don't think he was a big advocate to put this on the ballot, but I don't think he was ducking anything either. I don't think he knew that it was coming up quite so quick. I know the council did not. So, but trust me, it was all out in public before it was over.
Okay, so in your opinion, the big type of closed door secrecy things aren't really
Not really, no.
hurting
No.
community relations in the city?
I don't think it's happening too much, to be truthful with you.
Okay. The North Wind is proud to have some of the finest schools in Kansas City area. We always have connected generational wealth and prominent college alumni and positive experiences to rich resources in our community. The average household income, one statistic says, is almost at $68,000, $67,000. Tremendous growth in the last decade, boom of new homes, retail developments, and businesses. Do you have anything that you might try in the urban core?
Well, I think the growth in the Northland is simply because there's room up there. We're kind of landlocked south. So the growth in the north has been mostly due to KCI, the airport. Whether it was the new KCI or the old KCI, regardless, it was the airport. So executives and new companies were trying to locate, I think, closer to that airport rather than going further south. And we're trying to keep them on the Missouri side, so we certainly wanted them in Clay and Platte County rather than Johnson County. So I think you've seen a resurgence in real estate trying to grow Kansas City, Missouri rather than Johnson County. So I think because we're the only place the city can grow, we're seeing that surge. And I will say the Northland does have great school districts. They try hard, those districts do, and actually North Kansas City School District is the largest school district in the city, and I think the second largest school district in the state. So it's it has 22,000 children in its school district, so it's big and growing. So lots to do in the Northland to keep up. The problem is we can't keep up with the infrastructure. We can't build roads and bridges and streetlights and public safety fast enough to keep up with the growth.
Well, we've reached out to Councilman Barnes, and we've also reached out to Councilman Ellington, who frequently appears on the show. What's your relationship with them? What kind of synergy?
Oh, we're great friends. Well, Lee and I have known each other now for 7 or 8 years, and we, we're a team. We try really hard. I'm just now getting to know Councilman Ellington, but I love him to death. I mean, he's a big teddy bear. He won't admit that, but he is. And I know he seems pretty rough and tough on the outside, but he's a sweetheart, and I really do enjoy working with him.
We're talking about building coalitions, and I just had this question. I'm trying to remember it so I can phrase it right. What is your biggest challenge in terms of reaching out, building in the urban core?
The biggest challenge is probably just red tape and things we have to go through to get things done. We never have lack of community support. I mean, there's always that. It's just getting money in the right place at the right time to make projects work. But we're persistent. We're very persistent, and we make things happen. And the East Side has wonderful council members now. They have Melissa Robinson and Brandon Ellington. They have Lee Barnes and Raina Park Shaw, and they are leaders in on this council, and they'll get it done.
I'm talking to Second District at Large. Excuse me, is it district? Is that right?
Yeah, Second District at Large.
Second District at Large, Councilwoman Teresa Loar. Anything that you want to tell your viewers here before we wrap?
Well, I represent the entire city, although I live in the Northland and have lived up there for about 50 years. And I, like I said, one of my very best friends and mentors is Emmanuel Cleaver. We talk to each other probably weekly, and I represent this entire city, not just the Northland. So where the needs are, that's where I'm going to go. That's where my vote will be. I enjoy council work. I enjoy seeing things get done, and actually I am kind of a doer. So if you come to me, don't expect a lot of meetings or committees or anything. I'd rather just get it done.
And we want to make sure that your constituents hear your voice. Would you come back on the show?
Absolutely.
Maybe in the summertime after the budget passed, and we can have a more detailed conversation.
I'd be happy to.
We thank you for your time. As always, Councilwoman Loar, you're welcome in our What's Up Kansas City offices. My name is Glenn Frizzell. Check out more video online at www.whatsupkansascity.net. And remember, the sky's the limit. Aim for the stars. If you miss at the very least, you would have landed among the moon. Take care until next time.